Okay, all set on YouTube. Do you want me to share the meeting script or agenda?
I have it. I'll be ready to go right now.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting of the Northborough Open Space Committee being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth, due to the outbreak of the Corona-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, the town of Northborough has advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Open Space Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Open Space Committee to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless noted otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube. And also, ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature a public comment. Thank you and good evening all. I'm John Campbell. Could I get a roll call of those present? When I call your name, please say that you're here. Dan?
Here.
Anthony?
Here.
Leslie?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Ashley?
Here.
Paul?
Here.
That's it, right? And me, given that we have 7 members, we have a quorum and we may proceed. Thanks for you all for coming. How's everybody doing?
Well, thanks.
Feels like spring out there. Very nice. Yeah, the agenda really is just a list of our updates. It seems to me the majority of our time might be spent on agreeing on the outreach letters. Is there an update on the open space plan that you have, or were we going to just discuss where we're at?
We did receive a letter. I reached out to Melissa Cryan and we did receive a letter of conditional acceptance with just a few edits required. I did reach out to Sarah, but she was on vacation last week. So she and I will connect and figure out a way to address those edits.
Okay, great. Nothing we have to vote on or anything?
Nothing tonight.
Great news.
What kind of things?
I can pull it up if you'd like.
Often takes a lot of time, but I'm just curious.
I just got it Friday afternoon, but let me see.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Even have
Yeah,
saved it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't fully
thank you.
reviewed it yet.
No, thanks.
Is that it on open space plan?
Yes.
Okay. We have 618 Howard Street as our next item to discuss. Could you clarify what the agenda item means, Mia?
Sure. So I've been going back and forth with SVT and the state, specifically about towers in prohibited uses and or reserved rights. So basically when writing a conservation restriction, everything is in, there's a standard boilerplate for prohibited uses. And then anything you want to specifically allow, you put back in the reserved rights section. And so when you had discussed what exactly you wanted, we really combed through it with a fine tooth comb, and you had voted to approve the wording, and the wording did include towers. And so the state has come back and said that's not generally an approved use. It's usually a prohibited use. So I can share that wording with you specifically if you'd like, and we can take a look at it, but I do need you to make a decision. I didn't feel comfortable making that decision without you.
What, like towers, like as in structures?
I'll show you.
That's
Like a cell
I
phone
didn't
tower?
really get to
Yeah,
it
I'm like,
this
what?
fast.
Yeah. Oh, like a cell phone tower, perhaps. Yeah.
I think so.
You ever heard of that? A cell phone tower on
Yes, but
otherwise
usually,
conservation land?
but usually it's spelled out like, yeah, but usually it's on a CR.
right?
Yeah.
So we overlooked it or something?
I think I drafted that, or at least took the original Mia. I feel like I was part of that at some point, and I just took the latest template from the state when I did it, if it was the one that I was working on when I was there.
It's funny.
So,
Can you see it? I'm going to try to get to the exact place. Values. Here we go. So we had, I think that, so with the pink going back in is what the state put back in. This is under prohibited uses. So when we worked together as a group, we removed antenna, utility pole, tower, solar panel, solar array, sign, fence, and the state put it back in. This is now portraying the boilerplate. Does that look about right, Ashley?
yeah, I would assume that you wouldn't take something out of that section. Yeah.
Okay. And then down here under uses, reserved rights and exceptions. So we do go into more specific detail on signs. And I believe we get into solar down here too. Looking for it. So we don't necessarily, we have to decide if we want to add back in solar. And so basically, instead of removing them from prohibited, we need to leave the boilerplate of prohibited and add back in the uses we want to allow.
Yeah. So you can have a section for, alternative energy or.
That's right.
Yeah.
So specifically, I wanted to address towers. And so what type of towers you wanted to add back in. Get my notes from my meeting.
Do we want the option for a tower there?
I don't think you do, but I want to confirm with you.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
No. Yeah.
Generally not.
I wonder what the thinking was. I don't think I was there. I don't feel like I was there for this. Maybe I was on maternity leave or something, but what was the thinking behind that? It would be, yeah.
I don't remember ever discussing this, honestly.
I don't either.
Nor do I. I mean, our intended use is complete open space, right? So what would we allow?
Antenna, utility pole, unless like did town staff weigh in and think, oh, this might be something we'd want to do in the future, have the ability to put in solar? I just don't know.
We discussed that like a wayfinding, like a solar powered wayfinding sign or like whatever the future might hold. But I don't think a tower would affect that.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
I wouldn't think that we want to add uses back in.
Yeah, I would keep it. I would keep it consistent with the rest of Mount Pisgah.
Okay.
Right. I don't think they allow any of this on the other portions.
Right,
So
wouldn't
it's-
we match what we've done on the silver parcel or the Maitreya or anything recent?
And I would say like solar can be a slippery slope because if you allow it in, then you might leave an open door for a solar company to come in and say, well, let's chop down this acre and put in an array.
Yeah, I mean, it's all wooded. It's not like the Shunder field where there's open, it could be something that.
For sure they're looking for farmland and open land first, but it's
Yeah.
going to get to a point where they're going to look for any available area.
Oh, no,
to-
I'm agreeing
to
with
clear
you.
cut.
Like this is
Yeah.
not the place for it because the only way
Yeah.
to be to cut.
Right. It's high and it's, what is that? That's facing east. Not the
Faces
greatest spot for
west.
solar.
I'm sorry, faces
Trying to
east.
see if-
Yeah.
I'm
So
going
not the
back to
greatest place,
reserved rights. So SVT is helping me put back in something about solar. And I remember the intent of your discussion was really just for us for signage, like a single little panel that would be for alerts or a emergency box or an electric gate. You know, you did,
Okay.
I remember from the discussion that when you had drafted this, that you didn't want to prohibit. I mean, they even have little, like right now, Pisgah does not have toilets or facilities. But in future, if it becomes, you know, even ADA access, we have a parking area. And for some reason, we wanted to put, you know, a little composting toilet with a light and it had a solar panel on the top. We didn't want anything in the CR that would prohibit that. So it's not current use, it's just not prohibited in the future. And so SVT is working to put something like that back in, like solar for signage or, you know, restricted to a certain size. So they're drafting something about the solar, but specifically about the towers. I didn't think your intent was to allow any type of towers, but I also don't feel comfortable just taking that out without checking with you first.
Yeah, oh, I would take it out. I mean, every tower I've seen on conservation land is like a big thing. It's like 100-year lease. It's big. It's like a big section of the land, and the companies need a lot of rights.
We'll think of different kinds of towers too. Like, I don't think we need a water tower for anything, even a small one. I don't think we need any type of cell tower or any type of radio tower. I don't think we need anything. Just try to think outside the box, not just like selling to a utility. That would be prohibited.
Have fire towers.
A fire tower. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, wouldn't a cell tower be a temporary or permanent structure that's already listed in that paragraph?
Well, that's the thing, right? Here is where we say, you know, in the prohibited uses, it says structures are prohibited, but then below in reserved rights, you can allow for certain types of structures. If it's in there, it's allowed. So we could specify. The state might not approve it though. Depends on what kind of, you know, how far you go with it, but we could put it in and then it bypasses that prohibited, right, you know, prohibited uses.
So when we drafted the prohibited uses, we took the word tower out. I don't remember why. And
maybe just got lost in the mix there.
It might have. And the state is adding it back in. And so we're just going through each one, SVT and I, and we're like, did we really mean, like when we took it out of this prohibited uses, we're going to put it back in the prohibited uses, and anything we really want, we're going to add to the allowed uses, or what's it called, the reserved rights and exceptions. Yeah. And so we're adding back in a very small restrictive way to use solar. And we're going to add back in, we already did, you can see right now, it says no signs or fences, but then when you go down to reserved rights, you can see signs. And this is the type of signs we're going to allow. So just wanted to make sure you guys, you know, we're going to put the word tower back in here, and we're not going to be adding it into any of these reserved rights. We're not going to add a paragraph about towers. There's no type of towers we want to allow. I don't think so either.
No.
So on that list, if it's not specifically listed, so for example, wind turbines, is it covered even though it's not specifically called out?
I imagine that would just go under structure.
Yeah, I think that's a structure.
Sorry, I'm
yeah, that's got to be the catch-all, right?
Prohibited. Does it say structure though?
Building, yeah, it gets into so many specifics that, or any other temporary or permanent structure.
Okay, I was just curious if
we can add. I mean, we've added in if you think, but yeah.
Well, it lists some, but it doesn't list others. So
right.
I just know several years ago there was some discussion to start building wind turbines on state lands because we own so much of the high terrain. It didn't really happen, but I know with, you know, green energy, it's one of them.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if it's covered the last, I guess you don't have to make an exhaustive list.
I don't know enough about how much destruction those cost to know if, like,
I don't either.
I think they need to be in really open areas, don't they? Or at least they usually are. Or is it just high is good?
It's got to be high. Have you seen some of the ones in Worcester, those giant ones? And Worcester. I mean, there's,
Mm.
it needs to be high, but I mean, you need a road up to it, and there's some
Okay.
question about the impacts on wildlife of some of these things. So
Yeah. Well, we can always add it in there. I don't think that they would be opposed to that, I'm sure.
Right now, I think it's covered under temporary or permanent structure. If you wanted to add it in, it doesn't sound like you want to add it in, but if you wanted to add it in, we would add it to reserved rights and exceptions.
No, I was meaning added into the prohibited
Okay.
section.
yeah, no, I'm not arguing to allow it. I just want to know if we needed to call it out as prohibited.
What we're saying is the only thing we might allow is the possibility of sign or, as you said, toilet or something being solar powered by a small panel, and that's why you wanted to have that solar language.
Mhm.
There's nothing else we're looking to allow on the property, isn't that true?
Just
That's
curious about that though. If you look at the whole overall Mount Pisgah, the Smith Road access is flat. It's got a parking lot. I would think that any of those facilities would go there, not on this piece of property that's kind of landlocked and hilly. And
Yeah.
so I'm not even sure it would ever happen on this parcel. But
No.
I'm not
But
thinking
this is
Barnum.
forever. So who knows where they're going to be in 100
Yeah.
years, you know, and
Yeah.
maybe that house out front is a visitor center and they
That's
need
true.
to add a little solar
Hmm.
panel to power it and they don't have good sight. They need to go further into the woods. You know, you never know where
Yeah,
they're going to be in
that's
100
true, yeah.
years.
Another
Okay.
pandemic.
I kind of like wind turbines. I don't know that we need to have them at Pisgah, but generally speaking, like conceptually, if it wasn't overly destructive and there was a reasonable place for a turbine, I'd certainly, I'd give it a look. Doesn't specifically affect this CR, but just pointing that out. I wouldn't reject
Mhm.
those outright typically.
No, yeah.
Does anybody think this is a future use for this property?
No,
On
I
this
think we
committee?
should, I think we should go forward with the language about the small solar and then that's it. Good.
Yeah, if we're looking at 100 years, who knows what technology or what changes there. This is not going to be right.
The point is we want to keep it wild, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's what I always think back to. I know, but the CR where it's on your home property, then you have to think a lot about what the future holds. But here is like, we want it to stay this way forever.
Right.
So,
Maybe this would be a redraft that then we would have another review of.
Yep, you'll see the final. I'll send it out.
Okay, and then, do we need to vote on any of these agreements that we just said, or this is just pretty,
As long as it's a consensus.
pretty clear-cut consensus on what we intended? I don't remember ever discussing this, so if it was assumed that we were just using a template, that's probably what it was.
So I haven't heard from Anthony or Paul. I just want to make sure it's the consensus of the committee that you're okay with just adding back in the small use for small solar and removing any reference to allowable uses for towers.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
with
Yep.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay, thank you. That's all I've got. Thanks.
All right, well, good. Thanks for pulling us in on that. We have a consensus of the committee to allow you to make those changes, and we are clear in our intent for leaving the land wild. Okay, so we're up to the landowner outreach letters, and you provided in the advance email several examples. One is a specific suggestion for the letter to Mr. San Clemente. And this was with regard to the Zero West Main Street property that abuts the New England Forestry parcel. And it's a landlocked parcel, right?
Mhm.
So I have, briefly read through that letter, have others, and it's I don't really have any problem with it. It's clear, it's pretty thorough.
I thought they were great.
And most of this wording I got from previous outreach letters.
And Paul's last name is misspelled.
Oh, thank you. Can you, is there no I? No,
No,
there's
I-
no
There's one less I, right?
here.
And one more R.
Tagliaferri,
Yep.
is that right?
Yep.
I can check the website. There we go. Sorry about that. So that's the San Clemente letter. So you want to send this as is? There's an extra mister. There we go.
Look good to me.
Yeah, this one was good. I felt like one of them I felt like could be shortened. And that was the only comment I had about it. It was like that people, we might lose them at a certain point, but this one wasn't that.
Yeah, so let's, on this letter in particular, everybody good with sending as is?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So why not check that one off? The others were drafts, and then you actually had included the specific ones. Now, the Gilliland letter was really a follow-up to your discussion, so. No, I'm sorry. This wasn't the old letter. This is your draft of a new letter.
Yeah, and it's a follow-up to our last meeting. And actually Leslie pointed out we last met in 2018, so I'll update that
Okay.
date. Otherwise, yeah. Pretty short because we already had a long conversation, walked with them, just kind of reminding them that we're here and we, have been setting aside funding for important projects. So
I don't know if you want to keep it formal, but he goes by Dave, and the letter that came to me, I checked, the one that came to us was signed Dave and Jan. So I don't know if
Okay,
make it more formal or less formal, but
You just do Dear Dave and Jan.
yeah.
sure.
No, this one's, really got a personal nature, so I would advocate for you to read through it if you're happy with it. I think it's great. It'd be interesting to see if you get a new round of communication.
Yeah.
Actually, so at the time, Ashley, we had talked about the brook and all that and the
Mhm.
falls. Do you want to add any of that in there? Or you think it's just too much?
Yeah,
Personalize it.
sure. I can touch on that again.
You want me to, I still have the, you want me to forward the email trail?
Sure.
Okay, all right, I'll forward that to you.
Yeah, I think you showed some of it earlier
Yeah,
today about
yeah, I
Lunch
did-
Pail
yeah.
Falls and stuff.
Yeah, there was a little more recent too. Your response to it,
Okay.
I think, but I'll forward it to you now.
Sure. Thanks.
Sure.
This would ultimately go on town letterhead also,
I assume so. It looks like me. I already put it on.
or are you going to email? You know what I mean?
Oh, either way, whatever you think makes the most sense.
I would formalize it. It kind of
Mhm.
gives it an official nature that, hey, we want to re-engage.
Yeah.
It's receiving mail is a lost thing, and sometimes just having a piece of paper helps spark memory. So I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think having it on the town stationery makes it more official too.
Sure. Thanks for correcting those things. Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Everybody's in agreement on that one then?
Looks good.
Yes. Okay. We have the, did you redraft the DeFutis letter, Ashley, as well?
Yeah, that was a new one I just created. And I was looking for feedback on that one because it's kind of a tricky one. So if anybody had comments on that, I'd be happy to
The,
take them.
wasn't Todd Helwig the last town person to communicate with him?
Yeah, that's why I put in a comment there. Should this be from Todd? I don't know.
Well, I think he played the role of liaison at the time
Mhm.
and got a little dialogue,
Yeah.
which resulted in basically, no interest in moving with any of the options, whether it was breaking out part of the land or, and obviously the appraised value that we were able to give was, not something he was interested in. But there was always a thought that he might move in a different direction or move away. And then in the meantime, I mean, he's forested the land for trees and things like that. So I think it's good to re-engage with him.
Mhm.
I agree, though, if he has a rapport with Todd, that
Yeah, I don't know about a rapport. Not sure that's the word.
I think, yeah, they both maybe tricky.
Yeah, I would send it again. I would send it on town letterhead. I might see if there's a way to get to the point and keep it simple.
Shorten it a bit, you think? I added in the appraisal section because I felt like he wasn't happy with the appraisal we got last time. He was like, I could get my own appraiser in here to show you it's worth XYZ, which is why I said you could get another one, and any land use planning that you might be able to provide could, you know.
What did you, not that I don't understand the words, but what was your intent of the second paragraph?
I guess I guess it was sort of a nod to his, like, my property's worth this much and I want to get everything it's worth. But if there's a better way that we could say that, or we could just remove that paragraph, either way.
Now, in the perfect scenario, we acquire the entire swath that, abuts Pisgah. But we also had talked about, whether a corridor could ever be obtained, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I forgot about that.
I can't remember how clear that was made. We really wanted a way to connect
Hmm.
between, not that Green Street isn't there in the middle, but to connect Shunderland with that and trail access and so on. But he was hunting it and maybe still is. And
Yeah. And Mass Wildlife has since shut down their trails, which are in between his property and the rest of Mount Pisgah.
he shut it down.
No, Mass Wildlife closed down all their trails, even though people still use them. They're supposed to be taken off of the maps,
I see.
off the Pisgah. And I believe their piece is the one piece in between Geno's and the rest of Mount Pisgah to the north. So there may still be a problem with a trail connection, even if we got a swath. But
they still
you never
allowing
know.
weren't they still allowing some uses, but not hiking?
Yeah, hunting.
Oh, just on, okay.
They said
they did away with all official trails on.
official, yeah.
But you're right. I think the trails still exist.
Yeah, I'm sure people still use them.
Just can't advertise them.
Yeah, I might advocate getting rid of the second paragraph.
Okay.
The opening
not-
paragraph gets to the point, and the second paragraph is talking about, maybe the appraisal would be better.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Not married to it, that's for sure.
right.
Okay. So
Um,
that would shorten it. You were hoping for it to be a little bit more concise, so that'll help.
That's good enough. And then
Okay.
just how, should we list all the committee members again, or, should we encourage him, a town contact, go through the planning office or something that, that
Sure.
is a clear way to communicate?
Yeah. Should we
Okay,
list
good.
you, Mia? Like, should we list Mia as the contact? So if you're interested, please reach out to Mia and list her contact information.
That'd be great. Is that okay, Mia?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Mia?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
All right.
So list at the bottom, please contact the, conservation office and your number, and your name and number. And that way, if you wanted to engage or shows up there someday. And we can let Todd know, and, if you wanted to follow up by phone to reinforce the campaign, then, you know, maybe he would do that.
Yeah, we could CC Todd, so he sees Todd's name there and make sure Todd is,
That's not a bad idea.
Legal.
You know, Todd Helwig, Conservation Commission.
yeah,
Good idea also.
okay.
So we're getting rid of the second paragraph, putting it on letterhead, adding Mia as contact name and number for follow-up, and CC Todd Helwig, Conservation Commission.
And list all committee members, I think you
Yeah,
said.
but that's right, and list the open space members,
Okay,
just like we did on the San Clemente letter. Sort of the same way, sincerely Open Space Committee, and all of our names. Maybe he
So
likes
what do
it.
the other letters actually say in terms of contact? I didn't even think about that. They were,
Hmm,
Well, the one, let's see, San Clemente's that gives, it's got me's name, email, and phone number at the bottom.
okay.
yeah,
How
so
about,
just like that.
and
Well, I would
Gillerin
mimic-
also?
Mimic that.
Gillerin doesn't, no,
That's a
so
little
I
different,
could,
'cause you guys had a personal relationship, I thought, sort of. But you-
yeah, I can add, we can add in my contact information.
Yeah, I mean, you could CC me as well, like they could contact you or the conservation agent if you wanted to expand it.
Mhm.
I mean, you just sometimes don't know if people feel like, hey, I'm gonna call someone at the town office to see if this is real.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's just weird, right?
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
saying they didn't trust you originally, I'm sure they did, but
I was also working for Sudbury Valley Trustees at that time too, so
oh, okay.
slightly different.
I apologize. I forget. Where are you working now, Ashley?
State Department of Ag.
Okay.
You on board? Oh, so who's gonna draft excuse me, who will draft the changes to this letter to Gino?
I can do it, Mia, if you want to send that to me, or if you had that, all those edits, either way.
Yeah, I started putting them in, have you take a look and finish it
Okay.
up and then send it back. And does
Perfect.
anyone have a current address for him?
I don't think it's changed, but I don't know. I think he lives right near there. Let me
Does
see
he
if I
still
can.
live in the
find
house
it.
at the top?
I think he lives right next door. But I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I assumed he still did.
Yeah, 210 Green Street. I think that's still it. I don't think he's moved. Yeah, I would say that's still his address.
Okay. And then we had are we okay with those changes? Moving on?
Mm-hmm.
We know what we're doing with Gillerin. We know what we're doing with DeFutis. We're all set with San Clemente. Then there was the more general letter, which I thought was also good. If you're looking at it, I was just reading the very first sentence. I guess I wanted to add the word residents. The Northborough Open Space Committee is approaching those residents who, like yourself, own the remaining undeveloped acres in Northborough. Or any other suggestions? I just thought it was missing something there.
Trying to pull it up. Is it? Are you? Oh, you're sharing it. Okay.
I think I was sharing a different one that he was, I think So there's two, there's the general and there's one that's geared more towards CRs and easements. And I think,
Oh,
John, you're
yeah,
looking at the
there.
one towards, I'll share that one.
The only thing that kept tripping me up was the first sentence in the second paragraph. Didn't know if there was a way to just cut out some of that, but I know why you have it all in there.
Simplify it.
Yeah, and the other thing, it was in the same paragraph, in listing all of those properties, because we know them so well, we can distinguish between what you're kind of set, which ones you're talking about. But I think someone might be like, what,
Okay.
what are all these things? Most recently, notably, the purchase of the backland at 6. And then, so it goes from 615 Howard Street you're talking about, and then suddenly we jump into a list of other projects. So I think I would just do it like a semicolon there after right where you are. Yeah. A semicolon after trail system. Is anybody grammar police going to say that's not right? I don't know.
No,
but
I like that.
It clears it up for me a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Either that or you could put the stuff up in parentheses, but no, I like that.
I could give you a suggested way to, I don't like semicolons personally. I can
Okay,
give,
there you go.
I can give you a suggested way to encompass it that simplifies it a little bit. So in that sentence where it starts, the Open Space Committee has worked with many landowners in town to preserve their land, comma, most recently and notably. I would strike and notably. Is that, we don't need that.
Okay.
Most recently, the purchase of the backland at 615 Howard Street.
Provides.
Do we need to say the backland?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
I think we do because we didn't purchase 615 Howard.
Okay.
615 Howard is still for sale.
So most recently, the purchase of the backland at 615 Howard Street, which provided a great addition to our Mount Pisgah Conservation Area, comma.
Actually, I would put a period there. That's a pretty
Yeah.
long sentence already.
Okay, well, hold on. Just hear me out. So, and then I think you could end it with comma, and previously the Shunder and Rostrum properties, period. It calls in 3 major property areas in that same area. So again, I would read, the Open Space Committee has worked with many landowners in town to preserve their land, comma, most recently the purchase of the backland at 615 Howard Street. I guess one other way to do it is comma, and previously the Shunder and Rostrum properties, which provided a great addition to our
Open to
our trails and conservation areas, I guess.
yeah, I think that makes
You know what
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So, comma, most recently the purchase of the backland at 615 Howard Street, comma,
Delete all that.
and and previously.
I like the
Shunder
reference
and
to
Rostrum properties.
Pisgah personally, but
What'd you say?
I like the reference to Pisgah, but
It's fine. So, but I'm putting in and previously the Shunder and Rostrum properties, comma, which provided a great addition to our Mount Pisgah Conservation Area. We can still say that. It's
Yeah, it's true. It's all kind of a corridor.
kind of the same corridor. How does that sound? And then the bottom part, now permanently protected for future generations on Green Street. We don't need that.
Mm.
We don't need town-owned pastures and woods and a trail system because we're just going to say Mount Pisgah conservation areas.
Was it not worth mentioning like geographically where this is in case someone doesn't know the property by name?
Yeah. So what would you add?
I mean, I think I might leave Green Street there. I think that someone might realize there's good open space adjacent to Green Street, but not know the property
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So we were back up at 615 Howard Street, comma, and previously the Shunder and Rostrum properties, comma, which provided a great addition to our Mount Pisgah Conservation Area, and could we say our Mount Pisgah and Green Street conservation areas?
I added it to most recently the purchase of the backland at 615 Howard Street and previously the Shunder and Roston properties near Green Street, which
Yeah.
provided a great addition to our Mount Pisgah Conservation Area.
I like
I think it's good. It's good. Looks good now. It's shortened. It's good.
No, I didn't realize you were doing it on screen. I'm so in my own way there. Thank you. What about the third paragraph?
I think it's good. Yeah, it's got a lot, but
The only comment I would have on this is, I know we're not personalizing these, but if we easily know whether they're a recent buyer or have owned it for generations, it kind of seems like we could personalize it by saying, we know this has been in your family for generations, as opposed to just a thought, but it's obviously takes more effort in terms of figuring out who would get which letter. Just a thought.
I would leave it, but I might take out the words, the reality is that.
mm,
Can't we just
Where's
say,
that?
comma, many landowners reach a point where they begin to consider selling some or all their land or begin exploring ways to reduce the
Yeah.
tax burden.
yeah, I think that's good. And then also the good news is I know it's making it a more interesting read, but I feel like it's telling them that this is good. It's kind of force feeding, and I don't want to. You don't want to be. It can seem pushy a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's good.
I was going to drop the letters out of a helicopter with candy bars.
It's good news. We can help. We can help
Drop
buy
one on
some
my
new
house,
land. Love it. Good. That is good.
Well, you could take out those words. You could just say there are a variety of land protection tools.
Yeah, she did.
Landowner.
She did it.
But then you don't list them. You start talking about a conservation restriction.
Mm.
The next sentence, that's just one of them, right? How do we, are you trying to say an alternative to selling the land?
Yeah.
I think she's trying to say one example is.
But I know what John's saying. Like it's not the only one, and it might be nice to say one example or one way to do this beyond a full sale, an outright sale. But this just gets wordy.
One option, one.
Yeah, that's fine. One option is a conservation restriction, comma, a voluntary agreement in which blah, blah, blah.
Thanks,
That-
man.
That next sentence, I don't know if it's needed. All future owners of the land are bound by the terms. I mean, it's just
Yeah, you can take that out. Yeah.
a little redundant. And then the last sentence in that paragraph is kind of rambling, or the next.
Yeah, it can be donated, like hint, hint. But it might turn somebody off, but
So I just have a quick question. 'Cause
Okay.
The other letter talks about CRs too, so I guess I'm not sure why are we sending out a letter that only talks about CRs?
So
This
some
letter
people,
This letter seems to want to introduce the booklet, which you mentioned in the fourth paragraph. And the other letter highlights what's in the booklet, isn't it?
But both letters talk about CRs, so I guess I'm not sure why. Who is getting this letter as opposed to the other letter?
I'll get the spreadsheet up. We had targeted some people who would be more, like Todd Helwig, he put a conservation restriction just on some of his acreage, but it's all, he still owns it all. Same thing with the Rostrans. They put a restriction on, but they still own it all. So some of the land in the spreadsheet, you guys thought would be more targeted to a CR, and then some would be more, could be anything, could be a CR. And you were definitely like 242 Green Street, you're looking at, buying it someday. That would be the long-term goal.
Well, if we're sending the booklet, which I don't have it in front of me, but it describes the options fairly thoroughly, then maybe you don't need all the language in that third paragraph. You have this sentence, the good news is there are a variety of land protection tools. You could just say, there are a variety of land protection tools, blah, blah. And then you could bring right up, we've enclosed the booklet entitled Your Land, Your Legacy. You could delete all the other detail on conservation restrictions and let the recipient read it for themselves.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Just because the letter's more general rather than, as you said, sort of pressing them to consider.
Yeah, I think I would delete that. Yeah, I think that was good with that.
Could that work for you?
Sorry, Mia, that it was a good language, but better to keep it simple, I think.
So in this letter, again, back up in the third paragraph, instead of the good news is that, you could start the sentence with there are,
Already done.
and then delete the rest of the paragraph and bring up the fourth paragraph.
John, if you look at the screen.
I'm not good at looking up, apparently.
We did add this, all scenarios result in long-term protection and deep tax reductions, because I feel like that's a big incentive.
Sure. Okay. Is it accurate to say all scenarios?
All scenarios do result in long-term protection. I don't know I guess if they just sold it to us outright, it wouldn't result in deep tax reductions. Ashley, you're muted.
Sorry, I would be careful. I would say and could have tax benefits.
That's good.
You could just say long-term protection and potential tax benefits.
So good.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's good to keep it nice and short. I think that's good.
So then is this letter really the better approach for a generalized outreach, and then rather than the more lengthy
Paul's name was misspelled there too, by the way.
Oh,
Paul.
may it be that way everywhere.
I would think you would just send this letter to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. You don't know for sure if somebody's just interested in a conservation restriction. They may want to hear about all the options. So it wouldn't hurt to just do the same one.
And the general letter I put together was really everything from every letter. Like it was anything that was double I took out, but really it's like every paragraph from every letter. So it was like the menu. So this might be the letter, the general letter.
Yeah, because the book really does get into that, I think, in a really nice way.
So this is good. This is more direct, right?
Yep.
I just want to show you the spreadsheet just to make sure, Can you see the spreadsheet now?
Yes.
Mhm.
So you had highlighted, I think it was yellow was regarding all possibles, and a letter was, and green was tailored more to sale of backland CR easements. So I mean, everything's pretty much yellow except for stuff on Howard Street. And these are people who wanted to sell us their backland or put a CR on their backland. But I think the letter you've made would satisfy both scenarios.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And I think at least two of those know what was done at 615 Howard, so they're gonna
Oh, yeah.
know, you know, what happened there.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so I'll send that letter with the booklet, Your Land, Your Legacy. Well, it's not that long, is it? Oh, it's 40 pages. Okay. Where do I order those? Because I don't think we want to print all those.
I know.
North
Isn't it
Quabbin
y-
Regional Landscape Partnership.
You might, yeah. What Mass Woods does some books as well, and they might send you theirs free.
Okay.
Forget it's like a slightly different title.
We could buy some. I doubt they'd be that expensive if they charged. Probably
Yeah.
just the cost to print.
Right. I just can't remember. I know we used to get them a lot, and I can't remember if they stopped making that one, but it'd be worth checking.
I have it in Adobe. And I mean, I could print it, but it's a beautiful book.
It is it's a really good one.
Is it that?
Oh yeah, there was a new one that Mass Woods put out called Protecting Your Legacy. It's also a North Quabbin partnership, so that might be the updated version. I'm not sure.
North Quabbin Regional Landscape Partnership.
Yeah, they did that one as well. And this one was 2019, Protecting Your Legacy. So it's just slightly updated. I think this one has more like family examples, but it's also a planning tool.
And what's it called?
Planning. Sorry, I need to go to the top to remember. Protecting Your Legacy.
Protecting Your Legacy. Okay, I'll reach out to them. Maybe they have like 1,000 and they were more than happy to give us 30.
They may. Yeah, I know they send them all out to everyone. So
this is a large envelope then arriving at the
yeah,
recipients?
it's not going to be tossed into the recycling bin easily.
No.
This is quality stuff.
Do you have the resources for the mailings, Mia?
Yes.
Good. All right, well, great progress and good plan on all these outreaches. Any other edits then, or we got a good plan, right?
Did you want to sign the letters, John, or do you want me to just have them from the whole committee?
From the whole committee is fine.
Okay.
There might be people that don't like me. It's probably plenty. So, hoping somebody else's name generates good thoughts.
Put you on there as long as I spell Paul's name right.
Okay. Ready to move on? Any other new business, new items, new news? Hearing none, we have February minutes. I've studied them. Have you all? And if there's no questions, a motion to approve them?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Who spoke first?
Guess I did barely.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll need a roll call vote to approve the minutes. When I call your name, please say aye or nay. Dan?
Aye.
Anthony?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Brian?
I think I abstained because I wasn't there.
Okay. Ashley?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And me? Aye. That is 6-0 and one abstention from Brian. Minutes are approved.
Thank you.
How's the committee feel about meeting again in 1 month? Should we do so and see where we're at on letters and so on?
It's fine with me.
Any objection? So April 26th would be the last Monday. Is that good?
We may have another meeting scheduled that night. Yep.
You do?
It's been hard to get Monday nights. In May, it's going to open up. We're going to get another webinar license, and the boards and committees will open up a bit more. But in April, due to Patriots Day, everybody got shifted around.
Gotcha.
And it's budget season, so Board of Selectmen is meeting extra. So
How's the
there's
next
nothing.
Monday?
April 26th is already booked.
How is the next Monday? May 3rd?
Take a look.
I mean, it's up to you at this point, I guess.
I'm free. Let me double check. Maybe I can get to the folder. One second. I'll get to the calendar. May 3rd, nothing's listed. It's wide open.
Is that okay with everybody?
Works for me.
Sure.
Good.
Thank you. May 3rd it is. Anything else, anyone? Great.
Move we adjourn.
Nice short meetings.
Fantastic. We'd never do this in person.
That's kind of true. Yes, motion to adjourn, please.
I already did, sorry. Move to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Dan,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
John is aye. Thanks, everybody.
And everybody.
Aye.
For the weather.